This, I believe, is a very early Beatles song. It's definitely a Beatles song, but I believe it's very early. And probably John Lennon. And it's called Anna. Has a very strange beat I've never heard anywhere else. The music that the Beatles played very early in their lives was something called skiffle, which is sort of maybe it's the, well, put it this way, as Dixieland jazz is to jazz, skiffle is to folk music, sort of. So it's kind of a frothy, light sort of style. They used noisemakers, along with guitar and washboards, and kind of, you can see skiffle's influence in Paul McCartney's writings, I think. Gotta turn off that fan. I live with wood heat, and so I have a fan screwed into my ceiling. It's up there close to the ceiling because that's where the heat is. So the fan sends the heat down towards my bedroom and washroom, etc. So, and also if you have things screwed to your ceiling, that is not taking up floor space, and I live in quite a small space here. It also reminds me that names go out of my mind right away. A famous visual artist here on the coast. She wasn't with the group of seven. She was sort of somewhat admitted later. Can't think of her name. But she ran a boarding house, and she had a menagerie of animals. And her chairs were up at the ceiling on ropes and pulleys. So it was out of the way when she wanted to do her work. Emily Carr. She's famous in Canada. So yeah, her chairs would be at the ceiling on ropes and pulleys so she could let them down when people came to visit, but otherwise they were up out of the way. So that makes sense. I renovated, I moved here around 89, Victoria, BC, and bought an old liveaboard for $3,000 in 1989, I guess. And I renovated it with the help of a very kind and did good work. I forget his name, Renee, maybe. And so at the end of it, I had a queen-size bed that went to the ceiling during the day and came down and rested about 4 feet off the floor at night. So you really had to reef on it. There was four ropes for the four corners, and you might think that, a sheet of plywood and a half and some 2x4 bracing and a mattress might not weigh that much, but trust me, it weighs that much. And years ago, one of the gifts to my mom was having, I think it was my suggestion actually, but was to, for us, all of us kids, to take a bunch of pictures of what our day was that particular day. So I had various pictures in my day, but one of the pictures was getting up in the morning, and there's me reefing on the four ropes to haul up this queen size bed, custom made for the place, to get it up to the room, or up to the roof rather. So, and I quite often slept just with a t-shirt on and no bottom. So there I am, reefing on the four ropes to try to use my weight to pull the queen size bed up to the ceiling. And there's my little weenie hanging out. So that was my, what I'm doing that day. So, what else? Oh, I like this one. Yeah, this is Willie Nelson. He did Georgia so well, but this song was really good too. Yeah, he's still going, and if you look at his guitar, it's all like, I strum like this, and so below the guitar here is all chewed off. There's a big hole in his guitar. He's had it for so long. And it's sort of, I guess I like to be a cantankerist or in opposition to everything, but it just means that if half of your guitar is eaten out below here and it still sounds good enough that people think you're great, then maybe a fancy guitar doesn't mean all that much. But at the same time, I have a 70s era bottom of the line Yamaha classical guitar that I think probably sounds better than newer guitars just because they had access to such incredible wood back then. And even though it was a bottom of the line guitar back then, it probably has better wood on it, especially the top, which is usually spruce. But in any given tree, which has to be an old growth tree, there's maybe 10% of every couple hundred trees that are good enough to be guitar wood, and only 10% out of any given tree that's good enough to be guitar wood actually can be used. And in my case, this is a bottom of the line Gretsch from about 8 or 10 years ago, and it is mahogany plywood top. And dobros, which is a technical name for this, are tuned a certain way, unless you're me, and I just got in the habit of tuning it like a guitar, probably because I was an amateur and would be too complicated to tune it differently, and relearn a different system. But I like this style of dobro because it gives a more metallic sound, but not super metallic. Some dobros are totally chrome and sound very metallic. So I just love this sound. Okay. Yep, maybe I didn't love you quite as often as I should have. And now we have a song that's somewhat difficult to play. It does kind of sit on 2 chords. And interestingly enough, early on in my guitar playing progress, I looked up songs that only had 2 chords because I figured they'd be easier than 3 chords. And, probably 20% of them ended up to be Neil Young songs, interestingly enough. But he was a contrarian. A lot of people didn't get along with him, but especially Graham Nash. Maybe not especially, but Graham said at least that it was always for music. So yeah, they had a tape all ready to go, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. And Neil wasn't happy with the mix, so he actually showed up and stole it. Okay. For 40 days and 40 nights, the law was on her side. But who can stand when she's in demand her schemes and her plans? As we dance on the floor and around. So take my advice. Remember to always think twice. 17 minutes, another long one.